All right, so I decided to just do a voiceover on all of the stuff that you're seeing here, which is, the box of Tesla coil came in. One of these pictures is the SMD LEDs that go underneath it to make it light blue, and then a couple of up close pictures. And of course, it's finally lit. Now, the reason I'm having to do a voiceover for this thing is because there is some copyrighted music in through the coil, and I can't let that play on YouTube. I don't like copyright. I'm not going to use anybody else's music. I was not even going to put this video back on YouTube, but CoilLabs and I were talking about coils a little bit, and I at least wanted to share what I did. I did build this thing from a kit and put the effort forward, so yeah. I'm going to show you what I can, and anywhere there's copyrighted music, I'm just going to talk over it, and we'll be done with that. All right, so once again, right here, I'm just talking about how, made a discovery, and that when I turn the coil on, I have no lights on except for some like LEDs that are under my workbench. And because there was copyrighted music playing in the background, here we are. I'm having to do another voiceover over this clip. But if you'll note, you'll see my LEDs just kind of flickering under my workbench. And it shouldn't be doing that considering it's a well-grounded system. And this Tesla coil, though it's plugged into this grounded system, it also has a wall wart. And it should be more isolated than it is, which makes me believe it's the actual LEDs receiving the signal via the poor circuitry inside of the, cheap LEDs. So, I actually made the discovery that it was, in fact, the LEDs and not a grounding issue. So I thought that was kind of neat, so I wanted to share that. But I'm having to do a voiceover because of copyrighted music in the background. So, but that was all this video here was about. Alrighty. Well, yet again, I'm having to do another voiceover because I did not realize I was listening to music in the background. I can't work in silence. I don't know about you guys, but I really cannot work in silence. So, it's extremely hard to record a video of me working on projects when there's no music in the background. Now, at this point, all I'm going to do is describe to you what I was going on. I was having issues getting one of the standoffs in, so I had to use a hammer to kind of hammer it in. I had not even realized I could have made a video of this build by the time I had finished populating the circuit board with everything except for the transistors. I had not soldered them in place yet. I had just mounted them and stuck the legs up through. This is just me talking about, how easy it is for me to hang my finger in there and work with solder, something I 3D printed. But anyway, so yeah, I had done this whole video. It was like a 15-minute video. And the whole time I did not realize my hand was in front of the camera. Again, I'm still learning, how to do these builds, but I did not realize I had a hand in the way. I didn't realize the music I was listening to was loud enough for the camera to pick up. And, now that I've got studio headphones and a studio setting, it's much, much easier for me to pick that up and realize like, hey, there's something that doesn't belong there and it's not mine. And again, I really hate having to do voiceover, but I would much rather do a voiceover and just totally talk through the video you're watching than there be some copyrighted music and somebody feel a type of way about it, because I am not that person. I make my own music. But yeah, the whole time I was building this kit, all I could think is, man, I can't wait to turn it on. I hope it works. I've never built a Tesla coil. I mainly deal with ham radio and other things like that. I've done a few projects that involved electronics from scratch. I did make a synthesizer keyboard from scratch. I did a VU meter from scratch. In fact, there might be some videos back on YouTube about those. I even still have the VU meter itself. The lights, the circuitry for it's relatively straightforward. So I may go back and revisit that. And here the whole time it's really hard to see. It's slightly blurry. I really do apologize for that. That's why I said I'm not going to be doing content creation for a while until I practice. I'm practice. My biggest focus being on audio and video, because I have so many different things that I do and build and tinker with that would make for an enjoyable or even an interesting watch. But half the time, I have poor camera quality. There's not enough light. My hands are in the way. The camera's not in the right spot. And people are going, I'm not going to sit here and watch the back of your hand. I don't want to sit here and listen to your music. I want to watch what you're building. Or if there is music, keep it just in the background, really, really quiet. And so I'm still learning all of this stuff. Right now, I'm doing a voiceover on a real nice microphone with a nice windscreen. Even with a fan full blast in my face, it doesn't sound too bad. Whereas in that video, it's real brittle, it's real high pitched. There's a whole lot of fan noise. So it's kind of a good thing that I'm doing a voiceover like over the track, so you don't have to suffer through that. But it is unfortunate. Some things I remember about this build is in this moment here, I realize I really should have left myself a whole lot more wire, but because, I'm not the type to just worry about it too much, I kept on working with it and ended up having to get my tweezers, and it's like, oh, get in there, damn it. Solder. So, this whole build here was really fun, but if I could go back and redo it, and I might go buy another Tesla coil kit to put together on camera for you guys. I don't know yet. I'm in the middle of an emergency move. But again, with the interaction with CoilLabs and him taking the time to respond and really, talk about it, I'm like, that's really cool. I appreciate that. I really do. I don't have many people I talk about ham radio with. I don't do it anymore. I have my license. I keep it renewed. And, I've been talking about ham radio. One of the biggest comments I kept getting and I kept having to delete was that if I don't have somebody working with me, I should. All right, let me address that real quick, and I want you to hear it directly from me. I totally agree. You should never build a radio tower of any kind by yourself. It's dangerous, and you could hurt yourself. Me, at the time, I was not disabled. I had both legs, were perfectly fine, and I was using what's known as a tow chain. It's rated for 5,000 pounds, and I was also using a 5-point tree climbing harness. Heavy duty. It was like $100 and some odd just to buy the harness with nothing on it, just the harness. And I did that because I value my safety and my health. And I went to Lowe's and I bought some 2,500 to 3,000 pound rated screw links to attach that chain to that belt. And then on top of that, I had like 1,000 pound clips. And I did this because when I was climbing up the tower, though it looks really tall in that first clip, I was probably no more than 20 feet off the ground. And anybody who's ever watched any videos about fall damage, that's not that bad. In fact, I've jumped out of my window several times and it's like 10, 15 feet off the ground. It's not that big of a stretch to fall. So though I should have had somebody working with me, if you'll note, I was not the one operating the camera. I did have somebody out there with me. I had somebody recording me, and I told him, I'm like, you don't need to do this. This is dangerous work, and I would take a couple steps, reach, several feet above me and clip onto the tower. So even if I fell, never one time was there more than one chain disconnected from the tower, except for that first 20 feet climb. And the reason for that is simple. The first 20 feet, I'm trying to go on and get up a little ways until I met that, okay, this is becoming safety oriented, and I'm above the first set of guy wires. The first set of guy wires are at 20 feet, and I didn't want to have to, navigate around guy wires at 20 feet. But after 20 feet, I had my safety harness was attached the whole time, and then when I finished building the tower portion, that's when I called in help, and I had several people on the ground pulling the antenna up to me where I was at the top of the tower. I had another person operating a leveling rope, which is a rope that was attached to the beam to allow it to flatten out and keep it from like twisting and spinning and doing any kind of stuff. Because we're talking about a 300-pound antenna, 60 feet in the air over the top of my head. And so, it's got to be kept real nice and stable. So, yeah, tower building is something that is covered in any kind of ham radio book. In fact, in order for me to get my extra class ham radio license, I had to do a lot of studying about towers. I'm actually capable. I'm a volunteer examiner. I could give the ham radio test. I am an extra class. That's, if you don't know what ham radio is and don't know what that license is, it's the highest ham radio license you can get. I did actually take all 3 tests and passed all 3 tests in one sitting. I'm not going to include a picture in this video, but in a future video when I talk about, I'm going to be building a whip antenna. I'm going to teach people how to build an antenna for the radio. I will, in fact, include that picture there, along with maybe some other achievements, like I did the 13 Colonies event where I contacted, various radio stations around the world. And it was 12 plus a lighthouse. That was really cool. I got a picture of it, and then the certificate, because of what year it was, the picture is of Old Ironsides. It's a ship. It's a wooden ship, proper sails, But anyway, so I do all this technical crap all the time, and I just have always had poor camera quality. I've always had I'm not a very audio video type of guy. I'm a musician, and I like to tinker. I like to do a lot of things, keep my hands busy, building stuff, woodworking, electrical. I have got an entire list of stuff I'd like to share with you guys. Like, I want to rebuild the pickups in my precision jazz bass. And when I do a video on it, somebody may want to know how to build pickups for a bass and not know how. And I do know how, so I don't mind sharing that, But the biggest thing, the biggest thing is I now have the microphones to do it. I now have a decent camera coming in later. It should be actually here today sometime. But by having a better camera, better microphone, I can you can comfortably see and hear what I'm doing, and maybe not want to click away. And not because I want you to just be stuck here watching my video, but mainly because I would not want my video quality or my audio quality to be the reason that you leave. If I leave, if you leave, I'd rather it be because it wasn't interesting to you. You know what I'm saying? I would much take that over, I just did a really crap job on the video, or I did a really crap job on the audio, and that's that. But yeah, this whole time you've been watching me build a little Tesla kit. I really wished I would have started recording this back when I had started populating the circuit board, because that is actually the more interesting bit. But I did not think about it. I was so excited to have this kit. It was around my birthday. It was a birthday present, and my birthday present to myself was to rebuild a guitar. So as a birthday gift, I got a Tesla coil kit. Somebody said they thought I might like it, and they weren't wrong. I enjoyed every bit of it. I built that whole thing. Hell, there's a lot of things I built. The workbench I'm working on in the video, I built. That little green thing, did you see me looking for something? That I built that too. It's a solder caddy, and I'm over here looking for a mounting screw. There was one missing. But that's because I don't have a little tray, a little electronics tray. I just throw stuff on my workbench and hope for the best. But now I am grateful right here that they included the secondary already built and tuned, and I will say that they didn't do too bad a job tuning it. It did make noise. It did play. It's not the greatest in the world. This little bitty thing could have produced so much better arcs, and probably would have been a lot more entertaining had it produced much more sparks and arcs. But I enjoyed making it. It was a really fun kit. I plan on making another one. I do have some MOTs laying around, which you should not be messing with. If you're not a high voltage expert, or at least exactly what you're doing, you really should not be messing with anything high voltage at home. And that includes Tesla coils, ham radio equipment, including amplifiers, anything with tubes in it, anything with capacitors in it. I mean, these things are no joke, instantly lethal. You touch a capacitor, you're dead, and you don't even know you're dead. Everyone else knows, but you don't. And that's this not a joke. All these YouTubers that keep saying don't do this at home, please don't do this at home. I'm going to say anyone messing with high voltage, we know exactly what we are doing, and we know the consequences of if we screw up. We know that at any moment, even something as small as this could kill us. I mean, this don't look like much in the video, but this little Tesla coil has a 24 volt AC power supply. Now, or excuse me, DC, coming off of 120 volt AC. Now, the Tesla coil, being a resonant coil, is obviously producing kilovolts of electricity off the top. If you were to touch the primary or the secondary of this coil, even as small as it is, you could potentially stop your heart and die. Okay, that's not a joke, and I hate to be dramatic, but this is really, it's dangerous. I mean, I played with this a little bit. I did kind of touch the sparks a little bit, but again, I knew what I was doing. I was not grounded. I was using my right hand furthest from my heart. I had no metal jewelry on. And when I did touch it back and forth, I was never physically grabbing this coil or anything. I was touching the little isolated diode at the very top on a very tiny coil, knowing the risks, knowing that it could potentially hurt me. But I did it for the sake of filling that curiosity need on this video, and so that you didn't have to do it. You know, you should not do this ever. So here we are about to plug it in and test it. Unfortunately, there is music in the background. I'm going to try to dial the volume back so you can hear the sparks. And so give me one moment. You're going to hear an audio clip as I have to pause my voiceover and see what I can do about getting you some clip of the spark itself.
Oh, there it goes. We got us an arc. We got us an arc.
All right. Well, it's at this point that I realize that I can do no more audio because there really is audible guitar in it. I hope that was interesting. So see you next time, and thank you for stopping by Dave's DIY.